Welcome, new Era Sens fans, to another segment of our post-game coverage I'm with Jack, and I'm Jacob. Tonight was another loss. That's 5 in a row for us, and so that was 6 in a row. Sorry, that was
Hard to keep track.
Yeah, losing count.
Yeah.
It was. This game started off a lot better. It wasn't an excellent game overall, but the first period we outshot Vancouver 24-7. And at the end of the game, the shots were 37-35, I think, was final.
Yeah, something around. They definitely got over 40. The Sens did at the end of the game there.
Oh yeah, 45 or 43-35. Sorry.
Yeah. So, story of the game was Thatcher Demko. Obviously, looks fantastic for the Canucks. That's great for them. In terms of the Sens, I was thinking in the second intermission, I'm like, what would be great if they came out in the third period and had a great period. Not necessarily win, but just put a couple in maybe and just have the same period as the first. And I was going to call this, this is like a sandwich where the two pieces of bread are fantastic, but whatever's in the middle sucks, because that second period was probably the worst that they've played all season, and the first was the best. So this was not that kind of sandwich, but it was more of the top piece of bread was just the best part. We'll go with that.
Yeah. That first period was one of the best games of hockey that I've watched first periods of hockey that I've watched Ottawa play in probably 2.5 years.
Yep.
Ever since we acquired Matt Duchene, that's probably the best period of hockey I've seen since.
Just full on domination. And it wasn't even, I was thinking, and I'm like, how good is this team? Because you start thinking, how bad is Vancouver, first of all, if they're playing like that? Or how good is Ottawa, and why can't they play like this all the time, right?
And we had the quiet guys playing good hockey. Everybody was contributing. Like, you can't have 24 shots and not have a full team effort.
No, exactly. That's every line buzzing, and man, it just sucks it ended up that way.
Yeah, there was nothing short of a good effort from most of the team. It started off with the game started off with Drake Batherson playing the body like he was Brady Tkachuk, really.
Yeah, I think I said this before too. Like, that whole line throws the body around, and Batherson might even get more hits than Shabbat. I think he had. Than Tkachuk. He's only credited with 2 right now, but
Tkachuk's only credited with 1.
Exactly. Yeah. So when there's the bonus there is that they had the puck the whole time, because Tkachuk had 6 shots and Batherson had 4.
And Norris had 7.
Yeah, there you go. So, man, that's a lot of shots for one line. And that probably mostly came in the first period. And I noticed that Norris, I didn't call him out for the last game, but I said he wasn't really doing anything. And man, he just had his legs tonight, and he was just shooting. And it was a scrambly goal, but he puts it in with authority. And then I think he had a one-timer towards the end of the period too that just missed the post. It's just like he has that kind of sniper aura to him, I guess.
Yeah, he's been doing really good, putting himself in the right position to be taking those shots. 6 in the first period. And like, our team itself had 7 shots in the first 3 minutes. Like, we came out of the gates just flying. And Josh Norris was a big part of that. He was one of the hardest workers I've seen play tonight.
You could tell that DJ definitely sent a message to them like, hey guys, like, that's unacceptable what happened. We can't just keel over for the entire game and get blown out of the barn like that. And they, in the first period at least, they took that message. And there's one of those periods where the scoreboard does not tell the whole story. Right? Exactly. You see that they're tied 1-1. Oh, okay, it was just another run-of-the-mill period for them. But man, that was fun to watch. I went upstairs out of my room after that period, and I was like, wow, that's what I felt on opening night. That kind of like, wow, this team's actually really good playing together. Yeah,
it was the first time the teams looked complete. And my girlfriend, who's just getting into hockey recently, Rangers fan actually, just because she knows the name Mika Zibanejad, she was sitting on the couch next to me, and she couldn't understand why I was so happy about the first period. And she was just looking at me like I had 3 eyes.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun to watch, and I haven't felt that in a long time.
And that's, so if you're DJ Smith right now, you're going back into that room. personally, I don't think that you're ripping into them. You're just trying to feed what they did in the first period, because you could tell that mistakes by other players, which we'll get into in the second period, were getting the rest of the team down, and that's never fun. And yeah, I'm just, it's a little bit of a loss for words, because it was really like, it felt like two different teams out there today.
Yeah, and first period we had our power play and penalty kill on display, and both looked really good. We lost the drop pass. There's no more of that on the power play. And our power play, we just had such a good setup with Josh Norris on the half wall instead of Drake Batherson, who played better than Batherson, and I didn't think that anybody could have played better than Batherson because he was playing it so well.
Well, on the
power play was just so productive.
Like on the power play, yeah, they've got they have Batherson and Norris on their off wings. So what that allows them to do is to have the one-timer option, and it gives Batherson better passing ability, I think, too. And yeah, I agree. I think the entries were a lot cleaner. They tweaked something there. So we'll also get into this later, but I think Tkachuk he seemed quiet in terms of like physically. Only the one hit, which is really weird for him. He had 6 shots, so like they had the puck the whole time every time he was on the ice. So it just looked weird that he wasn't getting mixed in with the scrums and stuff. It's got to be so frustrating for offensive guys like that to come away with 1 goal in a game where they put up 40 shots.
Yeah, and with such an offensively gifted performance by Tkachuk, it didn't show up on the score sheet. He had the 6 shots, and they were quality chances.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing really good on zone entries, and I remember that one hit. I assume it was the one that counted as a hit. He was skating into the zone, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody pinched on the blue line, and he just ran them over and skated in.
Yeah, it's those plays you get the possession back.
Yeah, he's the reason that probably 6 or 7 times that I was looking at the TV tonight, I saw Drake Batherson, Josh Norris, and Brady Tkachuk all in the crease.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what led to Josh Norris's goal. He stepped back a little bit, and the puck squeezed out, and he tapped it home, and it was beautiful play, and everybody was in the right position, and they were playing well.
Well, you look at some of Vancouver's goals, and it's just getting those bounces, which, to be fair to the team, they have not gone the Sens' way at all in the last 6 games. Like tonight, those scrambles, how easy is it for one puck to just sneak past Demko, even if he's standing on his head? But none of them did, and man, he was just unbeatable. Like, just looked so solid, not scrambling at all. And
he looks like the Demko we saw in the playoffs last year that we all said wouldn't last.
Exactly, yeah. So Vancouver should be, they don't need Markstrom if he's going to be standing on his head like that all the time. But
yeah, and I mean, they have Holtby to back him up just in case.
Exactly, perfect.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a great 1-2 punch, and yeah. So the power play looked great for sure.
Yeah, and so did the penalty kill, like just positioning and everything. Vancouver didn't get too many shots. They actually went like 11 minutes without a shot in the first period, including 2 power plays. Yeah. And like it was just a dominant performance by Ottawa, but that's really all I have to say. I am going to add that Colin White looked amazing, especially in that first period.
I thought the White got better as the game went on, which is so good because he needs to be a part of this lineup moving forward, and I think he will be. I think that the scratching was just a message being sent, because honestly, in the 2 games that he was in, he didn't do a ton, right? And he was just kind of struggling to find his feet and stuff, but I think maybe who knows what's happening behind the scenes, but it was clear that he got the message about tonight, and he made so many great plays. So moving forward, he should be in the lineup for sure.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that will take an opportunity and run with it forever.
Yep.
Anything else for the first period?
No, we've just got a couple questions from Super Sens Fan 88.
Yeah, I was seeing that.
Yeah, so we'll get into those questions a little bit later after we go through the next 2 painful
Yeah, those
periods.
are good ones to cover at the end. So
those are good, yeah. And we'll probably touch on Riley, I'm assuming, in the next couple minutes. I know I will.
So yeah, the second period, it started pretty slow. Vancouver came out and scored a pretty early goal. You can't blame Hogberg for it. I think overall tonight, Hogberg should have made some saves that he didn't. But that second goal, you can't. It was a beautiful tic-tac-toe play with Elias Pettersson, JT Miller finishing it. Like it is what it is.
So that one starts with Riley coming up the zone. And I'm going to shout out Derek Lee again because he tweeted it. I love his tweets during the game. He said that, Riley was hooked and that should have been called, and that causes a 3-on-1, and then that's a goal. That's unfortunate. But Riley should not have been skating up the ice in the first place, because you know how often in the game does a D stand behind the net and just wait for everyone to make a change, right? It's the second period, so Vancouver's bench is closest to the Sens defensive zone. Riley starts skating up into all the Vancouver traffic before the Sens players are even off the bench.
Yeah, I know.
That's not the right play. That's not the right move. If anything, you pass it up. You don't a little bit early. You don't skate it yourself. So he made a mistake. First mistake of the night for him. That was very blatant. So that's the only mistake on that goal. He should have been called on the penalty, but that didn't. And then you're supposed to be able to live with those, right?
Yeah, and it looks like he expected the penalty. He expected the penalty to be called, and he gave up on the play. Similar to Thomas Chabot last game, expected that they scored the goal, and so he gave up on the play. And we've been seeing a lot of giving up on the play. And so, and to turn around with Mike Riley, he got the hook and then started skating around in a little circle and then realized, oh, that wasn't a penalty, and turned around. Yeah. By that time, it was too late. But I will give him credit that he put a good effort into getting back. He did skate, and that dive was just centimeters away from being a
really close
defensive play.
Well, Hughes made a great pass, right? But it was in Miller's, it was all his front foot. He had to move a little bit to take the shot. So
yeah,
that was because of Riley. So I'm not going to fault him too much for that play, but it was a foreshadowing for the rest of the night. Let's put it that way.
It was a bad turnover on him.
Yeah.
The rest of it was okay, but it was just a terrible turnover that resulted in a goal. Similar to what Chabot did the other night. It happens. It shouldn't, but it does.
Yep.
After that, I noticed that Nick Paul, Colin White, and Evgeny Dadonov were on the ice together a lot. That line looked really solid. They were really quick. They knew what they were doing, and they were doing it well.
I thought they were the best line for the whole rest of the game, other than that first period.
100%.
Yeah, so I thought that the first line obviously was the best in the first period, but then they kind of quieted down a little bit towards the rest of the game. But yeah, White, Paul, and Dadonov look great, which is even better for Colin White. I don't think he's moving.
Yeah, I think after this game and maybe another game, I wouldn't really give him a lock right now, but I think he's back on the roster. I don't think we see him scratched more than 3 times again, and those 3 times will probably be in the next 10 days.
I'd say he has. I think the next person who comes out of that forward group is Stepan. Honestly, I'd put him in. I put Anisimov in for Stepan in a heartbeat, but who knows? I don't want to. You can say what you want. Oh, they changed this. Sorry, tonight was a way better game than the 7-1 loss.
It was,
but it's still a 5-1 loss. So you have to think about who's going to give you, offense or and whatnot. But I think personally, White solidified himself in this lineup tonight. Hopefully, if DJ saw that.
Yeah, I think he found a spot. And yeah, deserves it, I think. After that, also Watson, Paquette, and Stefan, they looked good at times, but not good enough.
Yeah.
They are slow. That's a really slow line.
Very slow.
Watson has shown some good speed, but overall it's a pretty slow line. They're not going to drive the offense like that. And they were on the ice with Chabot a lot, which I didn't like because those two do not match up. So that's when you put Willanen and Coburn out.
Someone else, we talked about face-offs obviously a lot last time. Stepan actually did well tonight, but apparently in his career he's been terrible on face-offs. So there's just and there's just that. But tonight he was 63%. He won 7 out of 11, which is good. But you can't be throwing those guys out with face-offs if you're not going to win it, right? And I think on the road it's more difficult, but I felt like they were out there a lot against Vancouver's top line, which found their legs tonight, and hopefully that'll probably, unfortunately that's going to carry over tomorrow, probably, with top players like that. But they got caught out there a lot, and I'm trying to look for ice time right now. So Stepan had 12 minutes, Paquette had 12 minutes, and Watson also had just under 13. So that's fourth line minutes.
Yeah, it's what you want out of them. Well, I don't even want that out of some of them sometimes. But yeah, and then Tim Stützle right there at the bottom of the list too, with only 12 and a half minutes played.
Yeah, maybe that isn't. It is. It's pretty spread out, actually.
Yeah, like overall, all of our forwards are between 12 and a half minutes and 19 minutes here.
Yeah,
and surprisingly, it's Evgeny Dadonov leading the way in ice time.
I saw that. Yeah, maybe he took like a long shift somewhere or something, but
yeah. On top of that, Josh Norris played an excellent game that we mentioned in the first, but a face-off percentage of 60% against that team with that center depth, that's a good number to have as a top-line center for our team.
As a rookie, too, which is insane.
And I think face-offs are just strength.
I might have even said that last time. Like, face-offs are the one thing that people struggle with the most. Stützle also took one face-off, and he's 100%.
Yeah, I think that was his first face-off win in the NHL.
There we go. Just piling up the accolades. Yeah, I mean, like Norris was great. I liked his game a lot, and I think that's why he's there and why he stayed. He's a goal scorer, and he did it tonight, and I think he'll continue to do it. I really want Batherson to get on the board, though.
I know he's not putting up too many numbers yet, but
no,
he's been one of the most recognizable players on the ice for us.
Right, which is good. And as a forward, that's good. You want to be recognizable.
Yeah, and if it's somebody else getting on the score sheet, it doesn't matter a ton if you're looking that good. Obviously,
exactly.
You want to see the numbers start to add up with him because he deserves all of them. Mm-hmm. But it's the drives from the players that don't get the points right away that sometimes are the best.
Yeah.
Like Connor Brown, he's never been a point guy, but he's one of the – he probably – I would almost put money on it that he has the most like third assists on a goal in NHL.
Yeah, does like the dirty work for it. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't really have much else for the second period. I felt frustrated, but I don't know where to direct it because they played so well, and it's just, and then I felt like the second half of the second period they just kind of gave up, which is not what you want to see. But also the first. Like when Vancouver scored their first two goals, I was thinking, okay, they're still like dominating this game because they were still going back and forth, I guess. But that they just gave up, which you hate to see. I don't know who to be mad at for that, but just maybe the whole team. Like it just sucks when they lose.
Yeah, and
like the drive. Yeah.
The only other things I have to add about the second was that Wolanin left the game.
Yes.
And didn't come back. So we're waiting for an update on that. And Thomas Chabot took 2 penalties in that period. The first one was questionable.
That was not a penalty.
But nonetheless, that's a lot of penalties for Thomas Chabot so far this season, I think. It feels like at least.
I can check how many minutes he's got.
He's taken 5 penalties this year in 6 games. And that's not what you want out of somebody that you're looking at as your next captain. I think Tkachuk is definitely moving forward in that kind of question.
Yeah. I think Chabot, that second one, I think he, I don't know what else you're going to do. Unfortunately, that's the one they score on. But I thought he was great tonight. So much better than the night before or the last game. He took he had a bounce back game for sure. He was even. And he was on for that goal, but when you're on a power play goal, you don't get a plus. So he was even he was +1 pretty much for the night in a 5-1 loss. And he played 24 minutes. That's what you want out of your top defenseman. So that's a great response.
He played an overall good game. I think there's some responsibility things that he has to look out for.
For sure.
But overall, like he did put some weight on his shoulders and start carrying.
Mm-hmm.
But he played his role well tonight. Yeah,
definitely. So that's another positive, I guess.
Yeah.
If they keep losing, we're gonna have to do like a positive takeaway thing at the end of all of these.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Keep something positive.
Yeah.
So what do you got for the third? I admittedly, I didn't pay a lot of attention to the third. I missed a lot of parts of it, but I did catch some. So
the third periods that we've done have been tough to judge because they're already down. I think this was the third time they've been down by 3 or more goals going into the third that we've been doing these. So, but they did come out strong. They were down 4-1 and they came out and had some pretty good chances. I think so I'm trying to picture the play, but I know that Batherson came, or sorry, 3-on-1, or 3-on-2, and Kachuk on the far left side takes a shot off the pad of Demko, and he kicks it right into the slot, and then Batherson's right there in the slot, and he tries to shoot it on the other side of the net. Demko just lunges over, but like perfectly poised, just absolutely robs him, and that was the story of the night. So all I have written is Demko because he absolutely stole that game for them.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all I have. The third periods have been such a wash at this point. It's just for the coaches to see who's still in it and all that. Surprisingly, not very much pushing and shoving, which to me, like I said last game, I loved Watson's energy and all that at the end of the game before, but it almost felt. I saw someone mention on Twitter too, like Kachuk isn't getting in the corners and like getting in people's faces. He looked like he had no life either at the end, which is a little concerning, I'd say. But it happens, right? So they just need to get out of this funk.
I know, like outscored 12-2 in the last 2 games. Like that's unacceptable.
Yeah. No,
and
that can't happen.
I'm sure with some time left, Brady Tkachuk is looking at the scoreboard saying we just get outscored 12-2 in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
But you can't look at it that way. Say, I want to be outscored 12-3 or 12-4.
Yeah.
And it's you got to drive. You got to get better.
And this is DJ Smith's job, is to help them keep wanting to keep that drive there. And they had it in that first period, and man, so I think the problem right now is that they're just getting discouraged easily. And
yeah, they are.
And this is why these veterans were brought in, right? Tell them how to bring it back up. You don't need to be a guy who's getting a bunch of points, but tell the boys to, pick it up and not get so down on themselves.
Yeah, that's what I want to see Derek Stephon and especially Cedric Paquette and Braden Coburn, because they were part of that sweep from Columbus in the playoffs when Tampa got upset after winning the President's Trophy. They were part of that, and think of the conversations that would have happened in that locker room. Think of how many people just wanted to give up on playing hockey at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point, because even when it was 2-0, 3-0, like they know, and then they were still with the team the next season, and they came back and won the Stanley Cup. So they've been through that adversity, right?
Yeah, they know the downs and ups.
Right, and I mean, you can say like, oh, they're not effective, and to be fair, if you're a top player and one of the guys who's not doing anything and isn't a contributor is saying, hey boys, we got to pick it up, we got to do better at this, it can be a little, okay, whatever, Yeah. But it speaks to character. You gotta, and this is this is why they still don't have a captain yet, right? No one really stepped up, and you gotta, this is where Kachuk and Shabbat are going to have to go at it for this thing. It's the 6-game losing streaks where you have to step up and be like, hey, let's not get down on this, boys. So we'll see how they respond tomorrow night. I'm glad that they actually play tomorrow night after a game like that.
Yeah,
versus the 7-1.
Yeah, because, and that's the thing. This was a 5-1 game that was better than the 7-1 game by more than just 2 goals. Because, that 7-1 game, we had Brandon Sutter scored a hat trick, Tyler Mott scored, Tanner Pearson scored.
Yep.
This game, it was JT Miller, it was Elias Pettersson, it was Bo Horvat, Brock Besson.
Top guys.
They were everywhere. And we played that good against the people that showed up tonight. They didn't show up last night.
The good news, too, that in a back-to-back is not that Hogberg wasn't great, but they get Murray back in net, who needs to bounce back, right? And this is probably his biggest game of the season. It is the biggest game of the season for Murray. He needs to win this game regardless, or he needs to play well at least.
Yeah.
But also Demko probably won't be playing. So they get a new goalie. They don't have to be faced with that fact that, oh my God, we can't get by this guy. Because Demko played in the 7-1 game as well. So they've only got 2 goals on this guy in 2 games. So maybe a fresh goalie, and maybe hope he doesn't have the best game.
Yeah, that'd be good to see. Well, for us.
Yes,
so
definitely.
Move on to 3 stars here. So what do you have?
Sure. All right. So my 3rd star, it's all top guys I've got in here. So my 3rd star, I got 3 guys for my 3rd star because they were all kind of equally good. I've got Batherson, Kachuk, and Shabbat. I thought that they all kind of just, I don't know if I mentioned it last game, but I wanted to see the top players in our 3 stars because they hadn't been yet.
Yeah.
Right? It was all these depth guys, which is great, but the top players stepped up tonight, regardless of what the score was. So I liked all 3 of those guys. My second star, I got Norris, just because I thought he was absolutely flying, and I thought he was shooting the puck hard and face-offs too, which is huge. And then I'll go. My first star is Colin White.
Yeah.
And you might have the same one there, but he stapled himself into the lineup tonight. If DJ and I are on the same wavelength, I hope we are, because man, he was making, and there we go. We talk about the leadership with when you're down and when you're losing. Colin White did not stop playing all night, and he was making plays. He's hitting. He made like a big hit again, not a big hit, but he was making plays with like 20 seconds left. Like, this guy wants to be in the lineup, and he just proved it. Contract aside, because that's not what you want a guy on a 6-year deal having to do, to fight his way in the lineup.
Yeah.
But that's the situation he's in right now, and he is owning it. And I think he was fantastic tonight. So hopefully he can continue that tomorrow night.
Yeah. And I mean, again, contract aside, every player had to fight their way into this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And he just lost that fight. But he's showing why he shouldn't have right now. So
exactly. Yeah.
I think he did earn a spot in here. And I do have him in my top 3 as well. But for my third star, I want to go Nick Paul again. He wasn't all over the scoreboard. He wasn't all over the offensive zone or anything, but he was solid and he was everywhere. He was on transitions. He was incredible in the neutral zone, either getting the puck in or keeping it from going in. I think he had a ton of takeaways, and if not analytically takeaways, then like just plays that led to either a giveaway or
forcing a turnover. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just so much pressure from him. Next up, I'm going to have, unfortunately, the same list as you from here on out. I got Josh Norris at number 2 and Colin White at number 2 as well. Kind of them tied for 2 and 1. Because Josh Norris with that 60%, you love to see that. He took most face-offs of anybody on the team, and had a 60% on the draw. He had the goal, his second of the season, and it was a nice one. It was where he had to be, and it was what he had to do. And then, like you said, you have Colin White, who's just drive. He's just making as many plays as he can and showing that he wants to play hockey.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so we'll get into some of these comments here.
Yeah.
So we have Super Sens fan 88 thoughts on Riley. I overall this season, I like what Riley brings to this team. He can be reliable defensively, but he can also make those flashy plays, I guess, that make the good defensive plays. But just as if when he dove to stop that pass, he was very close to making a really nice play.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say I'm kind of the opposite. As soon as he came in last season, and I think they traded for him mid-season, I was like, oh boy, this guy's got 2 years left on his deal, right? Or so this is his last season. But I was like, you watch him and we have Shabbat, obviously. So we're used to Shabbat just carrying the puck up the ice, even going into the zone on his own. But Riley's not as good of a skater as Shabbat.
No.
So when he's skating the puck up, he's handcuffing the forwards. And like by handcuffing, I mean like he's just making them wait at the blue line, and then he either just dumps it in, which is, so I don't know if you watched the intermission show, but Brian Burke, he, for some reason after the Sens first period, he decided to just go after them about how bad their dump-ins were. Not really sure why, but he's right, because half of them, they would dump them in, and then the Canucks would just break it out easily because they didn't have forwards going. So like that was my biggest problem with Riley, and defensively he's not good. So I just thought that he was kind of a placeholder, which I think he is. He's not a long-term guy.
Yeah.
But man, what a tough night. It just got worse and worse and worse for him. So, and it didn't help that Will Lannon got injured. So like you got to throw someone out there, right? When there's 5D.
Exactly.
But boy, yeah, those are my thoughts, I guess. It's just not much different from everyone else out there.
Yeah. Then Super Sens fan 88 has another question. Do you think DJ makes changes yet again for tomorrow? I think, well, he has to make changes with Wolanin injured, potentially injured at least. So I think you see Zub make his NHL debut tomorrow.
Yep.
And that'll look really good, especially if they keep Coburn in. I think Zub and Coburn could make a really underrated pairing at the bottom, just because they're both really good transition players. Like, they're gonna move the puck up into the neutral zone. They're not going to take it all the way in for you, but they're also going to try and stop that puck at the blue line.
So I've actually liked Coburn a lot, and not a lot, I'd say, but he's just been a good bottom pairing guy. Yeah. I think you bring Zub in, and I also think you bring Josh Brown back, because I do like Josh Brown.
Yeah.
And if not, like, there's no way that they keep Riley in after that game. So they have to. There's got to be 2 new bodies on the blue line, regardless, because Riley's going to be scratched. He hasn't been in the lineup every game this season, so it won't be the first time. Other than that, though, I mean, Murray is definitely going to start. I don't really think up front if he makes any. Maybe Stepan. I'd take Stepan out. But this is. Do you think DJ makes changes yet again? I don't know what DJ would touch up front, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for centers tomorrow, I expect Josh Norris on the first line, Colin White on the second, Chris Tierney on the third, and then Cedric Paquette or Derek Stepan on the fourth line.
Yeah, they've been. God, both of them were so bad at face-offs tonight, though. Or I guess Stepan was okay, but Paquette was terrible.
Okay, I think one of Derek Stepan or Cedric Paquette is scratched tomorrow, and Galchenyuk's back in.
Yeah,
I think we missed that big shot on the power play, on the second power play unit.
You think Galchenyuk's coming in instead?
Yeah, instead of either Paquette or Stepan.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to. I don't think he'd take Paquette out, because I do kind of like Paquette on the PK, even though their PK kind of looks like they're running around sometimes.
Yeah,
I do like him there, but I don't know if it would be Galchenyuk who comes in. I feel like it would be Anisimov, and I don't know why. But the forwards were not the problem tonight. Let's make that clear.
No, not at all. Yeah,
it was the defense. The defense was the problem.
And I'll use that right to transition to sorry if I mispronounced this, but Nedraj Drayanreb. Sorry. What's the deal look like tomorrow, especially if Wolanin's injured?
Perfect.
So, what's your kind of ideal pairings?
Pairing, I don't know. Oh, so another thing we got to mention: Zaitsev looks like Zaitsev again. He did not have a good game.
He did look like Zaitsev again.
He just was getting beat to every puck and wasn't physical. So I don't know what he had to eat for dinner tonight, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they moved with Riley gone. I think they moved Shabbat with Brandstrom or Goodbranson. Sorry, not Brandstrom. Unfortunately, go with Shabbat, Goodbranson, and then. I don't know where you put Zub. He's a right-handed shot, right?
Zub is a right-handed shot, yes.
Okay, so boy, that left side. Who else do they have? That's lefty. Because you take Wolanin's gone and then Riley's out. Who's the other left shot? Is Aspero a left shot? Because he's the only other guy on the taxi squad, I think.
Yeah, actually.
He's definitely coming in then.
I think I'm just thinking. He is a left-handed shot, so I think he might make his NHL debut.
Mike Riley might stay in just because he's a left shot.
He might. I think I would like to see Aspero in there instead of Riley. Again, like I just said, I think Riley's been okay this season, but tonight was just not his night, and I do think that he could have an NHL debut tomorrow.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. Like Shabbat with Zaitsev or Goodbranson doesn't matter. Zaitsev was also a even tonight. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see the time of ice played between Shabbat and now you have me saying Branson. Shabbat and Goodbranson and Shabbat and Zaitsev, because I feel like that's just a top 3 pairing.
Yeah,
like Shabbat will play with Goodbranson or Zaitsev, and they just kind of
rotate.
Plays 24 minutes, they play 12 minutes.
Yeah, that is pretty ideal, I guess.
And like I just feel like that's the way it's been. I feel like he's been with both of them a lot. So
Goodbranson played a total of 5 seconds more than Zaitsev.
Yeah, so and how much time was that?
22. So.
Oh, that was a lot more than I thought. Wow.
Goodbranson was 22:46 and Zaitsev was 22:41. I don't think a lot of them. I don't know if they'd be over 22 or 20 minutes with Willenin and
yeah. And Willenin had 7 minutes in the first period and a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I feel like
good, so.
Shabbat was 2 seconds short of 25 minutes. I love looking at the ice time. It's cool because you watch the whole game and you don't really realize who's been out there so much.
Yeah, exactly.
This was the most Shabbat's played
so far this season,
I believe. No, he played 27 minutes in the win.
Oh, okay.
Against Toronto. The win, and we're 7 games in. That's not a good sign right there.
But yeah, this is his second most. Just by 30 seconds, but still, like, you don't want to see him having to play 25 minutes.
He's been averaging pretty much 24 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So that's not terrible.
So we have one more little segment here. Who needs to be better other than everybody?
Oh, perfect. Well, I had so I don't want to say Riley because I don't want to talk so much about Mike Riley, but I'm gonna say Stützle, but it's not his, like, not on him. Does that make sense? Because he's young, it's early. I'm not gonna panic, but again, he only had another 12 minutes tonight, and him, Brown, and Tierney were -2 each. So not a great night for that line.
Yeah.
I think he needs to move around somewhere. I'd like to see him with Paul or someone who can, or maybe even Dadonov, someone like
both.
Not that Tierney and Brown are bad line mates, but they're just not creative. And I think messing with that Brown, Paul, and Tierney combination was not a good idea. So maybe switch Paul and Stützle and see what happens.
Yeah.
White and Dadonov.
I think, yeah. And I'm gonna stay on the same line with mine. Chris Tierney needs to be better. There was a really bad play in front of the net that it looked like he grabbed the top of his stick with both of his hands and was just like this, trying to get the puck right in front of the net. And he wasn't doing anything. He was standing there gliding and watching the puck go right through his legs. And it wasn't what I wanted to see out of him, especially the way he's played, because he's been him and Brown together. I don't think I can say that Chris Tierney looked good without saying Connor Brown looked just as good on the same play. Like, they're almost like a package when you say that he looked good or he looked bad. And I just think that they weren't as productive this game defensively as I expect.
And Tierney, he's one of those players who like really slow and doesn't look like he's trying, which is tough. But he didn't have a great game. And then we'll go back to face-offs. You can't have a centerman take 10 face-offs and only win 3 of them. That's not.
And with a 33% the game before.
Exactly. So he's not improving there. And it's not like he's a rookie, right? The rookie is showing him up in the face-offs. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, we have another question.
Natty.
Call me Natty. LOL. When do you think Schlappick makes his season debut? I think anytime now. Whenever. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that are still fighting for a spot on this team, and Schlappick to me is one of the first guys that's going to come take one of those spots. Yeah,
and I mean, knock on wood, but there hasn't been many injuries up front yet.
No, we saw tough go out twice, but he's back.
And I don't know who you mess with on this forward group. I mean, I'm saying that like they're winning every game. But the forwards were great tonight.
They were,
I thought, and I think that was pretty clear. But yeah, I don't know. To be that's the answer to the question I got. I don't know when he comes in, but I do want to see him because he's been a prospect for like 6 years now.
Yeah, and I remember watching him when he played in PEI. He played for the Charlottetown Islanders.
Nice. Okay.
I always followed him. I always liked him. He's always kind of been a bottom 6. A perfect prospect to me. I think he deserves a spot on this team over some of the other players in the bottom 6.
So maybe they put him in for Stepan if Paquette's going to be playing center. So that could be a possibility too. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, that's all the time we have tonight. Thank you everybody for joining us. We've had lots of viewers tonight, and lots of comments. We love to see them and talk to you guys. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night for tomorrow night's game, and we'll be seeing you then.